It was supposed to be a romantic camping getaway for Alex and Megan. But deep in the heart of a secluded forest, they began to hear whispers that shouldn't exist, feel eyes that shouldn't be watching. What they encountered will make you think twice about ever setting foot in the woods again. And the most chilling part? This story is based on true events. Stick around till the end to hear what happened when the authorities investigated, and the unsolved mystery that haunts this forest to this day. Before we dive into this bone-chilling tale, subscribe to the channel for more horror stories, guaranteed to keep you up at night. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Alex and Megan had been dating for 3 years when they decided to escape their city lives for a weekend camping trip. Megan found the location, Deer Hollow, a forest so remote it wasn't on any official maps. "Perfect for disconnecting," she said, smiling at Alex, who hesitated but eventually agreed. The drive to Deer Hollow was uneventful, but unnervingly quiet. There were no signs of human life after they left the last gas station. A rundown shack run by an old man who warned them, "The woods out there, they don't like visitors." Megan laughed nervously, brushing it off as small-town superstition. Alex, though, couldn't shake the man's grave tone. When they arrived, the forest was breathtakingly beautiful. The trees towered like ancient sentinels, their branches interlocking to form a canopy that filtered the sunlight into golden streaks. The couple found a clearing by a small brook and set up their tent, admiring the serenity of the untouched wilderness. The first night was peaceful, at least at first. They cooked dinner over a fire, laughed, and watched the stars. But as they settled into their tent, the atmosphere shifted. The comforting hum of crickets and the gentle rustling of leaves fell into an eerie silence. Alex woke around midnight to what sounded like footsteps outside the tent. At first, he thought it was an animal, a deer maybe. But then the steps stopped right outside their tent. He held his breath, his heart pounding, as Megan stirred awake beside him. "What is it?" she whispered. Before Alex could respond, there was a faint tap-tap-tap on the fabric of the tent. Megan froze. "Maybe it's just a branch," Alex whispered, trying to convince himself. But as he reached for the flashlight, the tapping grew louder, more insistent. When he unzipped the tent and shone the light outside, the beam cut through the darkness, illuminating nothing but trees and shadows. The tapping stopped, but when Alex turned off the light, it started again, this time from a different side of the tent. The next morning, Alex and Megan woke groggy, but determined to enjoy the trip. They decided to hike to a nearby stream. The trail was narrow and overgrown, with branches clawing at their arms, as if the forest itself didn't want them there. As they approached the stream, Megan froze. "Alex, look at this." In the middle of the path was a strange pattern, made of broken branches and twigs, arranged in a spiral. It was too deliberate to be natural. Megan felt a chill run down her spine. "Who would do this out here?" she asked. Alex didn't answer, his eyes scanning the woods for any sign of movement. That night, the unease from the previous evening returned tenfold. The forest was unnaturally quiet, as if holding its breath. Alex and Megan sat by the fire, but neither could shake the feeling of being watched. As they crawled into their tent, the whispers began. Faint at first, like distant voices carried on the wind, but they grew louder, clearer. Alex could make out fragmented words, though they made no sense. "Leave, stay, watch, yours." Megan clutched his arm, her voice trembling. "It's not the wind," she whispered. Alex nodded, his pulse racing. Then came the tapping again. This time, it wasn't on the tent. It was on the metal camping stove they'd left outside. Tap, tap, tap. Alex grabbed the flashlight and stepped outside, his breath visible in the cold night air. The forest seemed darker than it had the night before. He scanned the area, his beam catching nothing but trees and underbrush. But when he turned back toward the tent, his stomach dropped. There were footprints, dozens of them, circling their tent in the dirt. The couple decided to pack up and leave first thing in the morning, but the forest had other plans. As they tried to sleep, the whispers grew louder, overlapping and echoing, until they sounded like a crowd surrounding the tent. Then came a new sound, heavy breathing, just outside the fabric walls. Megan couldn't take it anymore. "We have to leave, now." They grabbed their things and bolted into the night, using their flashlights to navigate the twisting trail. But no matter how far they ran, the path seemed endless, looping back on itself. The trees began to close in, their branches reaching out like claws. And then they saw it. Ahead, in a small clearing, stood a figure, tall and humanoid, but wrong. Its proportions were unnatural, its limbs too long, its movements jerky. The couple froze as the figure tilted its head, as if studying them. "Don't move," Alex whispered, but Megan couldn't help herself. She turned to run, and the figure followed. The couple sprinted through the woods, the sound of snapping branches and heavy footsteps chasing them. But when they burst into another clearing, their hearts sank. It was their campsite. The fire pit was cold, their tent torn to shreds. The spiral pattern from earlier had been recreated around the site, this time in stones. The figure stepped into the clearing, its face, or lack thereof, fully visible now. It had no features, just smooth, pale skin stretched over a human-like skull. The whispers grew deafening as it reached out a hand. The next morning, park rangers found the campsite. The tent was empty, the couple's belongings scattered, but there was no sign of Alex or Megan. All that remained was the spiral of stones and a chilling message scrawled into the dirt. "They're mine now." If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, subscribe to the channel for more terrifying tales. Like and share this video, and let us know in the comments. Have you ever had an unexplainable experience in the woods? Your story might just be featured in our next video.